Hi class, let's take a look at example 10. And in example 10, what they're asking us to do is evaluate expressions or equations and then simplify. The main idea is that you're going to simplify it as much as possible. So on problem A, this is the given expression. So I'm just going to say that, well, this is equivalent to xy divided by z. I just rewrote it. And then we're going to plug in into each of these variables the value that they're worth. So I'll just put a parentheses. In this case, parentheses x, parentheses y, and divided by the values of z. So our x value happens to be 1/4. So in this case, this is 1/4. Our y value is 1/6. And then we're dividing by the values of technically 4. I'll just write it as 4/1 because we're going to have to flip that. And then in this case, I'm just going to multiply from left to right, but I'm not going to simplify yet. So I'm just going to express this as 1/4 times 6 divided by 4/1. And then we're going to end up with the values of, well, 1/4 times 6 times 1/4, or 4 times 4 times 6, which happens to be 1/16 times 6, which in this case, it's going to be this is going to be a 6, and you carry 3, so 1/96. That will be our final answer. And let me just double check. 16. Yep, that's our final answer. So in this case, this particular expression, once you plug in those values, ends up being 1/96. Let's take a look at problem B. And problem B happens to be an equation. So let me just rewrite it. In this situation, A is equal to BC times D/2. I just removed those parentheses. I am going to put them again, but for each of the variables B, C, and then technically D divided by 2. The values of B is 1/3. So this will be 1/3. C is 1/2, so this is 1/2. And then we're going to multiply times 4 divided by 2. Notice that this 2 is that 2. And then at this point, I'm going to start simplifying values. So this is simply, let me simplify this last fraction first. So I'm referring to this one, since it's going to reduce. So I'm going to express the first two fractions as a multiplication. So this is 1/3 times 2. And then technically 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2, or 2/1. So that refers to this portion here. And then at this point, let me cancel the fractions. So this particular one happens to reduce the 2's, and we're left with 1/3. This is our final answer. However, this particular one, it's given as an equation. So I'm just going to rewrite it as, well, A is equal to 1/3. And it's a little bit different than the previous one because this one happens to be an equation. We typically use this to find some unknown if you're given a formula. On the previous one, technically the expression was xy divided by c, and then after we plug in, well, the given values, we ended up with 1/96. But here the expression is given a name, and the name happens to be A. Okay, so let me double check again. The 2's cancel. Yep, we're good to go. Let's move on to C. Okay, and if you recognize this particular problem, is one with the distributive property. So this is actually the distributive property. So A times B plus C. And if you recognize this, you could just multiply those two and then end up with AB plus AC. And in this case, let me put parentheses. And our values of A, actually I'll leave it like that. Our values of A is equal to 3. B is equal to 1/3. And then 3, and then C is x over 3. Okay, so we have to be a little bit careful on this one. Let me double check the values. B is 1/3, which happens to be that value. The values of C are given as x over 3. So that's going to go there and there. And then at this point, we can cancel common factors. So the 3's cancel. And we're left with, well, 1 plus, and then also the 3's cancel on the variable expression. So in this particular situation, we end up with 1 plus x. That would be our final answer. Once again, this one is a particular expression. I'm just going to box it in. And what we really mean here is when we plug in this expression A times B plus C with these given values, we end up with 1 plus x. We're not given any value for the x's, so we're not plugging it in. So our final answer happens to be another expression, but in this case, 1 plus the values of x. And that's actually it for this objective, which is evaluating expressions.